I am the self-help hacker. Keep in mind, the whole concept of this series, I am very aware that there are certain things you don't naturally learn before the age of 35. It's not until age of 35 and then you realize, oh, I learned a lot. Let me start thinking about all the things I have learned. Since I'm almost 39, I'm several years into that, very eager to help an audience who predominantly is under the age of 35. This is something I have seen, and there's certain predictable mentality that I'll see with people who are under the age of 35. And what I'm here to say is, I want to help you not to be basic. It's a good thing not to just be basic in your way of thinking. You can get that mental floss and you can become enlightened. You can kind of upgrade a few years in your life experience while still having youth. Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't it be great to still be young, but to have more of the intelligence of someone who's older than you? That would be a winning combo, right? Well, that's where I come out. I'm here to help you. So this is a test you can kind of do on yourself. But this is something I have observed in the years. It has been years of making YouTube videos. Anytime I make a generalization about people, I'll have people who hear me say the generalization and they immediately try to rebuttal, saying, no, that's not true because I know this guy, and they'll give an example of the exception to the rule. They have trouble accepting that here's the general rule. It's true for most people most of the time. However, it's not true all the time. But it's important to recognize that there are general rules and consensuses where most people view it this way, so therefore it is that way. But someone who doesn't have the emotional intelligence is eager to wave their hand in the air saying, look at me. You know, what they're saying is, I don't understand the concept of exception to the rule. It's important to acknowledge that when there are general rules, there's always going to be people outside of that. I'm going to give you a few random examples. I run another channel called Family Friendly Daddy Blog. And it mainly talks about DNA tests, ethnicity, background, that sort of thing. And there are certain things that bother certain people that I'll talk about. For example, here in the United States, typically, if you have a Spanish last name, typically it means you're Hispanic or maybe even Filipino, because the Philippines was occupied by Spain for a long time. So typically, if your name is something like Perez or Mendez, which was my grandmother's maiden name, there are typically, if you have a Spanish last name, you're going to be Hispanic. You're going to, in essence, have European DNA and Native American DNA. Typically, that's how it works. Are there people with blonde hair, blue eyes, and their last name is Ortega? Absolutely. But that's unusual. So if I say in a video, hey, in the United States, most people who have a Spanish last name by default are Hispanic. They have heritage going back to Mexico or further south. Typically, if you have someone with a Spanish last name, it's not that they're a third generation Spanish family and all of their ancestors truly came from Spain, as opposed to a historical mix from Mexico or somewhere in Central America, whatever it is, or even South America, whatever it is, typically. But if I say that on that channel, people get so upset about that. And they want to name all these exceptions to the people. Oh, no, because I know this guy and he's got red hair. And yeah, okay. So the guy you know he has no Native American DNA, but he still has okay, I get it, he's exception to the rule. But see, that's the thing. It goes back to thinking that you can gain respect by proving people wrong. And that's not actually how it works. So every time I say that out loud and get a thumbs down, there's another person under the age of 35 who doesn't accept that yet. They still think that through their high conflict personality, they can argue or debate their way to a level of respect. And actually all it does is causes people to respect you less if you're trying to prove them wrong all the time. But wouldn't it be nice for me to just say a general rule and people get it, okay, this isn't true for everybody. And maybe, here's another thing, maybe it doesn't apply to you. I made a video recently saying my opinion and the general consensus, if you Google it, shows that men find females with glasses more attractive. And females find men with beards more attractive. Does that mean all men look better with beards or all females look better with glasses? No, it does not. But generally, most of the population perceives that. So therefore, is it true? It's true most of the time. It's not true for everybody. But a lot of people can't handle those generalizations. I give you these examples just to help you sort out, to make sure you're not that person who gets caught up in exceptions to the rule and trying to feel special or famous by, I know somebody who doesn't apply to the thing, after you just said it was the general rule. So, test yourself. Make sure you're not the one trying to prove the exception. Accept that there are general rules in society, and people are largely predictable. And yes, there will always be people outside of that, and we can celebrate that. But most of the time, there are general rules that apply to how society works and how the world works. And it's important to accept this, to realize that these rules are in place. This is how society and the world works. And it's important that we have that structure. It's also important that we have things outside of that structure. But when we recognize those things, we recognize those as the exception to the rule versus the general rule. Your comments are right here.